Hello, welcome to my channel. Another Boobiephile reads Playboy for the articles. This is the GarbAugust Truth or Dare tag, created by that evil mastermind, Screamin' Creamin' Olly, where you are going to have to listen to me read some prompts or do some dares if these questions are just too trashy for me to admit on video for the world to see. Will I tell the truth or will I take a dare? You will have to find out. The first question: how would you personally describe trashy books? You know, this is subject to some interpretation. For me, a trashy book is a book written without any pretense whatsoever, other than to entertain or to get it out the door and to sell a few copies. How you want to sell that copy? Well, that depends on your genre. There are smut books, there are violent books, there are adventure books, and they are, as someone said, the lowest common denominator of books, but they're a lot of fun. They're not highbrow, they're not middlebrow, maybe not even lowbrow, as Roy reads anything, wink, wink, gave a little button to say, this is trash, this is entertainment. And you can read it with shame, or you can read it with pride. And since this is GarbAugust, we are going to be reading our trashy books with pride. Prompt number two, or should I say, question number two. What is the trashiest book you own? Difficult question. I will show you a very trashy book, though. And I don't think you're going to see this book a whole lot. This is Confessions of a Warlock by Curtis Lavender. I'll read the front cover. A practicing warlock reveals the dark rituals and bizarre secrets of the devil's art. Strange, sinister spellbinding. The real story of witchcraft in America, today told for the first time ever. The back cover. So let's hold this up and read it. I'm going to have to pull it in, sorry, so closer. By day, Curtis Lavender works as a Madison Avenue advertising agency. His suits are expensive and well cut. His apartment is on Manhattan's elegant Upper East Side. He is professionally respected and socially sought after. By night, Curtis Lavender is the high priest of a witch's coven. He is the absolute master of 12 other beings. He conducts their ceremonies, their hypnotic litanies, their strange sexual rites, their satanic spells, their black masses, and he is in contact with the living, the dead, and the unborn. Confessions of a Warlock is the tortured, fascinating, true story of a man torn between the good and evil in his nature, between the conventional reality of his days and the occult reality of his nights. This is marketed as nonfiction. I'm going to bet a body part that is entirely fiction. I'm even going to say that there is no Curtis Lavender. I don't think there was a Curtis Lavender that wrote this book. Personally, I think this is written by a bunch of people writing different chapters and just throwing it all together. And yes, there is a sort of story of the Curtis Lavender. It starts off on a night for their satanic ritual where the Orange family, the mother and their father, are giving their daughter off to lose her virginity to Satan. Swear to God, she's over 18 in this book. You know, you can't have these under 18-year-olds having sex in a book, even though the book was written in 1970. So this 18-year-old girl gets deflowered by the chief, the high priest of Satan. And then it goes on through some other chapters, and you know that poor 18-year-old girl is never heard from again. And he has sex with a couple other women. And I'm going to say that this book is not just trashy, it's trash. It is really poorly written. And as I think, written by a number of people. So this is my nomination for the trashiest book that I own. What is the trashiest situation you have ever been in? Okay. About 10, 12 years ago, my wife had a business conference in San Diego, California. And it was a whole week conference. And I was living up in Seattle. And I flew down to meet her for the weekend. And in San Diego, there's this hotel. And there's two branches of the hotel with the same name, but they're two branches. And my wife was very explicit to go to this particular branch. And I did. I met up with her. And it was Friday night. Right around midnight, maybe around a little bit later, we were both in bed. There was a knock on the door. And I got up and looked at the keyhole. And there is this woman standing out. And she says, and I go, who is it? She goes, Florence, let me in. And I go, who are you looking for? And she read off the room number. And I said, I think you have the wrong room. She pointed, nope, this is the room. Let me in. And she looked like a pretty woman, a young woman. Now, it's hard to tell through a peephole, but I am fairly certain that this was a call girl that went to the wrong hotel in San Diego. Is that a trashy situation? Well, it could have been. I could have opened the door and invited in this call girl. And that could have turned really, really trashy, especially if she had been a prepaid call girl. I will never know, unfortunately. Next question. Have you ever read a book so spicy that you cease to be master of your domain? Or which book has the best smut scene you've ever read? Well, when I was a young fellow, under the age of 18, I loved reading Penthouse Forum. Now, Penthouse Forum may not be known to some younger viewers. If you don't know, Penthouse was a girly magazine with pictures of girls who could not afford clothing. And there's also these letters in Penthouse Forum. They were supposedly true life letters written by readers. I doubt that. But in this case, all the letters were about women and men just getting together and having a lot of sex. Because a boy would say, I can't believe this actually happened to me, and blah, blah, blah. A couple paragraphs later, a girl's naked and they're having sex. And you know, I was under 18, couldn't get close to a real live girl if the world depended on it. And I loved reading those. But, you know, I no longer read those kind of things. And as for a book with the best smut scene, because I will answer both of these. At least most recently, we are going to go with this Lone Star book. This is a series of naughty westerns, or as MJ likes to say, cowboy trash. And it features Jessica, the woman up there. And in this book, she gets laid. This is her servant, or not servant, her bodyguard, Kai. And guess what? He gets laid. And the scenes are pretty darn graphic. Next question. Have you ever given or received a trashy book as a gift? If so, What was the book? Your thought, their reaction. Well, I have gotten a number of trashy books from my friend, Bad is Rad Too. And you will be seeing some of these books in GarbAugust again. This is Strip for Murder. This is set in a nudist colony where the detective has to find the killer, dressed only with guns. And yeah, that cover is one of the best covers that I own. She also sent me this one. This woman in sort of this pink tutu, you know, kind of fun. And she sent me this one, the Unorthodox Corpse. Now I know I've shown this again, but take a look at that redhead. Take a look at that redhead. You know, as Bad says, hot tomatoes. So those are the books that I've received, or trashy books that I have received for gifts. I have also given her some trashy books for GarbAugust. I sent her 3 naughty westerns or cowboy trash. Now I don't have the actual books that I sent her, but I sent her a book in the Lone Star series. I sent her a book in the Gunsmith series. And as you can see, the gunsmith is having fun with his lady. And it's pretty darn graphic. I also sent her a book in the Long Arm series. Now, I've not actually read anything in the Long Arm series yet. Maybe for GarbAugust I'll get to it. But still, I think it's just going to be as graphic as the Lone Star and the Gunsmith. So those are the trashiest books that I have received as gifts and sent as gifts. Last question. Did you ever read trashy books from your parents' shelves as a kid? Yes, I did pull off a very trashy book from a shelf. It may not have been my parents' shelf. It may have been my older brother's shelf. And it was a book called The Anal Lovers, or it may have been called The Ass Lovers. Can't quite remember. And this was pure erotica or pornography with a bent. And I read the first chapter. And in the first chapter, it's third person, as I remember. It's a prostitute on the streets. And she is approached by a man. And he wants to perform a certain act on this prostitute. It's not sexual intercourse, but it involves her offering up her backside. Now you may want to close your ears to this. His tongue. Yeah, that was really trashy. And I didn't finish reading the book. Just did not float my boat. So there, I have answered all the questions, truthfully. No dares. But not doing a dare would be a total cop-out. And I can't do that. I can't cop out. So let me go ahead and do some of the dares. Show your favorite book with a spicy cover. I've shown this book on this channel before. Celeste, the Gold Coast Virgin. And as I've mentioned before, I'm going to be shaming her. She does not look like a virgin to me. However, I did try to read this book. I got about 25% of the way through, and I just couldn't finish it. It was just not even good trash. It was just blah. It was boring. But what I can tell you is that Celeste was indeed a virgin. However, I wonder if Celeste is on the cover. It could have been her mother, who was not a virgin. Her mother owned a brothel in the old west of California. And her mother got lots and lots of action. I'll do another dare. read out loud a trashy, spicy paragraph. Okay, children, gather around. Uncle Boobiephile, it's story time. That big fluff of crimson hair stuck out on her just as he knew it would. He ran his hands across her belly and thighs and dipped down between her legs, stroking her rounded slit. Her legs spread, and she slid lower against the bundle when he hooked his fingers under her pubic hair and spread inside her moist canal. Still fingering her, Kai used his other hand to unbuckle his jeans and open his fly. She reached, clutching the shaft of his erection and stroking him delicately as he struggled to lower his pants down around his ankles. "You stay dressed too," she whispered hoarsely, and wrapped her left arm around his neck, drawing him up and over her, the hand clasping his hardness, guiding it into her warm moisture. Kai felt himself sinking inside her a long way before he realized how tight she was. He paused and then looked down at her. She was smiling all over. "Don't stop," she said. "It feels good." He lanced deeper into her, and this time he could almost feel the juice springing out of her. He began to thrust very hard then, and she seemed to grow even tighter around him, until every time he would pound into her, she would gasp, shuddering from the squeezing impact. Yet she kept smiling and undulating her buttocks on the pile of dirty laundry, eager for more. There is nothing timid or gentle about this union, Kai thought. Now that is some smut, children. Time to read on your own. Show a book you own but wouldn't want to read in public. You know, I think I would have a very hard time reading this book in public. Maybe if someone gave me a real dare, I'd do it. Last dare. Show a clip or link to your first BookTube video. I will tag on a short clip after this. So you can see that I was a nebbish back then on my first video, and I'm a nebbish still today. Well, thank you, everyone, for watching, and keep on reading. Hello, BookTube. Welcome to my no frills, plain vanilla, no special editing, no special effects channel. Today, I'm going to give a wrap-up of all the books that I read in April. And the first book I read was Dream Snake by Vonda N. McIntyre. This was an audiobook, so I don't have anything to show you, but it is a science fiction novel originally written in 1978. And I read it when I was in high school sometime in the early 80s. And it was pretty good, but I didn't remember anything. In 2009, just as the whole ebook craze was kicking off, and Kindle had been released just a year earlier, I got an ebook version from an independent publisher. And I read it, and I thought it was pretty good, put it aside. And then earlier this year, I noticed that Audible has this book available for free.